Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is the 17th day of August. It is 2025 on the ancient moon calendar, 2026 on the ancient sun calendar, 5785, about to be 5786 on the ancient Hebrew Israelite calendar, 10,066 and about to be 10,067 on the ancient Europa calendar. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity and in alignment and according to the ancient Noahide laws as stated by this Holy Congress. This is a sovereign living ancient Article 3, Moorish American Al-Moroccan Universal Court action. We are the divine sovereign living justices, and Aqquisitionne Pauline Ritchie, my free chosen sovereign appellation is Light to Jure Bay. All are in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. We are capit et corpus juris legalis, which is our statement that we are the one and only lawful and legal natural living head and body for our empire. All Moors are the divine, original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites, Canaanites, Shemites, Israelites, Cushites, and Hittites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our honor, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient Moroccan empire. We're the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We're ancient Washington District 4 Columbia. We're the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Earth-wide, Article 3, Moorish American Consular Court. We are the law by our sovereign status, which is the original indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient, Article 3, living United States District 4 Columbia Court. And we are the sovereign fiduciaries, original creditors, executors, divine ministers, possessors, grantors, grantors, and title trustors for all causes for action. And our system is the trustee. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby recognize ourselves and accept our own divine sovereign ascension. We do possess in our custody all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. We, the true living God nation, are not at war, and we are war, and we are all eternal, ancient, original sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, nunc pro tunc. So today we have the extreme honor and privilege and pleasure to yield the floor to Empress Anagel Todochea, whom we just honor. Her work is stellar. It is all that our record keeping should be, and for this we are grateful. The purpose and reason for this presentment, from our perspective, and she will have her own perspective, but the purpose for this perspective, this presentment, is so that we can measure our wealth. We must be able to measure our wealth. And how do you know how wealthy you are if you don't have the records to prove that? So with that being stated, we will yield the floor. Empress Anagel, Islam.
Grand rising and peace, Empress Light, and the Congress, the matriarch circle, the nobles and the heirs. Peace and grand rising.
Islam.
Such a happy day to come and share this today. So, you know, if you just see me break out and smile, it's just full, you know, and it feels good.
Yeah. So. And you look very beautiful, by the way, Empress Anagel. We love the red, the matriarchal crown. We love it.
I made the first in design, and you know, this is crochet, so you know, using this material, and we'll try another medium, maybe some cloth next in our next one.
Absolutely. You know what? When we first started speaking about that. I don't have one. It's just that the ancestors said do that. We're so grateful that you're presenting it. Thank you, Islam. I yield the floor. I'm going to mute myself so that I don't get to Islam.
Matriarch Light, there's no need to mute yourself. Please, we're here together, so please, please share in this time. So the Congress asked me to make this presentment, and Rose Tao, the Grand Matriarch, encouraged me to state clearly that I am enthusiastic and happy to share, but I'm not such a great teacher all the time because I get impatient. So I will ask for some support of the Congress to help to let us mentor each other and assist each other in coming to the fullness of how to use this resource, right? I'm happy to explain how I've come to it, but I'm a self-directed learner, so there's parts where I've refined it, I've sat with it, I read law, I've looked at definitions. So that process will be for each one of us as we come to the fullness of what this is and how we could use it, how to apply it. So in that I say perhaps the support of each other as we go through, as we teach ourselves to use this resource, right? So that was one. Yes, that was one. And then the other I will to share was when I spoke to my heir in thinking about how to make this more efficient, he brought forth a very important point that I thought to share with the Congress, which was that we are at the assessment phase. And for me, that means access, right? And he, yes. And he shared that, don't jump to conclusions at this point because everything's on the table. And how we will is what we're looking into, but we're at the assessment phase. We're looking at all the resources that are available for us and accessing them. So I thought that was an excellent, reminder as we move forward in how we can apply this resource of our account books, our accounts. So those are my two thoughts in speaking to our clan in preparation for this presentment. And the last is that these are accounts. So Matriarch Light has put to us very clearly that we, matriarchs, kept our accounts. And so this is our accounts where we show the resources that we have appropriated and how we allocate and remit them. So just in a nutshell, that's what this is. This is what our accounts are, right? And I trust that is a clear description of what these resources are. So we begin. So this is the appropriations account ledger. I sent emails out so that all Moors who will use it, please, tap into this and let it be a guideline for you. I began here with just the United States Post Office number. So this was just for the court action. This was the post office number for the remittance itself. So this is the return receipt number. And so that is my first column in the table. Next is lien and remittance amount, the employer identification number. And as you know, here in Canaan Land Territory, it's not always easy to locate all the employer identification numbers. And so in a general sense, I always went back to this one if I couldn't locate it and locate another one that was more specific, okay? So you'll see that many times as the employer identification number for many of the debtors, right? So that here. And then this is the first cause for action number. And so I'm going to just click on it so we can view it here. And so this is just the lien, right? And I went through a stage of doing liens, small ones and big ones. So this is one of the smaller ones, which is 2 debtors, for example. And that is, just, as you know, just, a 9-page, simple little lien that is effective, and so therefore connects here in our first Article 3 cause for action. Here's a second, for example. And this was the in ligas lien. So they showed up on 2 liens for me, for example. And so here is, the first lien I did, and then I did a more specific one as well. So in this, that's where there's 2 calls for actions on this particular line item. Here's the travel and transportation industry link.
I have a question. Is it fair to say that the lien was the very first document in the list of documents across the top?
Yes.
Okay.
I affirm it was. I started, but as you see, I have emphasis on our postmaster action as well, right? Because we are nationalizing resources. So, right? So there's a cause for action serial number that is our court action number, right? Our serial that we have assigned for this particular debtor and this particular account. And so that would be at the very front end of it. The invoice and remittance affidavits that we are, we looked at them briefly last time. Let's have a look here. Here, so we can see that. And allow me to make this a little, actually, if I may, I'm going to work with the template one that I was refining. So this is the affidavit of truth allocation record, right? And this is the red to go with the blue. I placed the court action, and then I put the account information. So here's the serial number assigned to this particular account. Here's the debtor, and here's the address that has been now nationalized. So that is the account information. Then we have done an allocation number. So, when I spoke to my heir, how you put it is like, it's the broad account, and then the specific action that you're taking regarding the account would be the allocation number, right? At this point, I've named them invoice plus, and then I put the date of the cause for action, and then I will do serial from it. So this range 001, I haven't quite figured out how to create that range yet. So I was working on it, but I'm not quite sure how to program that part in. I will. I affirm it will come. But that would be the only last piece about the allocation number as the range continues to grow when we take actions around this specific account, right?
Okay.
Right?
Yes, that makes complete sense.
And then the purpose of the allocation. So the allocation is
if I may. Well, since you have the year and the date as the allocation number, and you add 01, so every calendar cycle would change. So once we come to the new calendar cycle, then it will be 2026. Then you start back to 01.
Yes.
So
yes.
So then since technically you wouldn't have to worry about worrying with the 00s and on, because the calendar year cycle would determine that.
Okay.
You know what I'm getting at?
I do see what you're saying. So I think I need to redo this number, because this is the cause for action number. This is when the lien was put in place. And I think what I need to put here is instead this number here, where the remittance that we're doing at this time is the date for that. So I think those numbers need to, like, I just put it in place, like I just tried it, I put the brackets in place, but I hadn't refined how we will to set it up. The year makes more sense at this time. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. But I still think the 001 still will need to happen, because what if?
No, yes, yeah, that part, yeah. Because like I said, every time the cycle comes, because we're in 2025 now, so by 20 times, and I don't know how many you plan on doing, but you have an opportunity to do 3 digits and going all the way to 999s.
Yes, yes, indeed.
So this number that you're looking at in the brackets can stay the same until you get to 999, right? And then so when you change the calendar year, then this 25 will turn to 26, and then you can go back to 001.
Okay, okay, that's brilliant. Thank you. That helps to clarify it. So what is the? But what will we put in here? Are we just putting in the year? Will it just be 2025?
No, because it's a 2025, I guess, because when I looked up how the fraud was doing their numbers, they had the number, the name, the initials of the actor for the magistrate, and then they put like the acting room number, and then they put the acting the number for the case. So that would be their enacting of the account number, so to speak. So or like for the acting county, they would put the date, the month, and the year, and the time that it was created, and then they would put 01. So the base number would change in 01, and then go up, because every time someone come and did a thing, the time would change, and so would the date. So by the time they got to the next year, they start over again at the new date, the new month, the new year, and 01 again.
Okay.
Islam, interjection?
Islam.
The way that we've been doing our records is the first number that is going to determine where everything goes before we even get to the date is going to be the restated EIN number. The restated, that's the ultimate account number.
Right.
Then any actions under that will be recorded this way, but we have to keep that that number, that main account number, first, and then we can record anything under that comes after that. So it will be the date, just like you have it there, the year, the month, the day, and then number of that action. Because with any one account, we could easily do a lien, levy, bond, court action, all of that in one day, or so that would justify the 3 numbers at the end changing, and then any actions that come after that, we change the date, we record the date of that action as the number, always keeping in mind that the employee identification number is the account number, because your bond, your lien, your cause for action all have that number as the numbers. Islam, I yield.
I appreciate that, Empress. So this is I affirm that makes much sense. So you see me putting in some information there. Hold on. So therefore, on our template here, this number is going to be this. So our invoice, employer identification number, and I don't know if we will even put in the year, just so that we're keeping in an annual sequence of time, right? A measurement of time. But those 2 numbers could go in here, and then a serial 001, 002. And we could just add another plus. I think that would work also. Right.
So where accounting is concerned, like this specifically, it would be the allocation number. That's the top tier number. There are going to be some some budget line item numbers that we just talked about, which will be the date and the number of the action for that day.
Okay. That
So
is so.
it's 3 tiers of numbers because we do things in threes. It's 3 tiers of numbers. The first tier is always going to be the allocation number that you have there, which is the EIN, the allocation number. And then the second tier of numbers is going to be the day, the year, the month, the day, and the action number for that day, which will be the 001, 002, and 003, which is third tier of those numbers.
Okay. So I'm going to move stuff around here on us and put that first, because this information would be here first. Right?
Yes.
And so
the allocation. Oh, I apologize.
So if you could just state again what you just stated, so that we see if the information is correct.
Okay. So whenever you're talking about budgets and allocation and appropriation, the first number is always going to be the overarching account number, which it will be the EIN number, and I'm using that loosely. You all know exactly what we're stating. That's the number. The EIN number is going to be the same, and the EIN number is used as the allocation number. It's also used as the bond number, the lien cause for action number, as well as the levy number. But each of those actions is really one action. Then under that you can number the action according to the date. If you brought in some resources that day for that particular unit, then that will be the EIN number, the date as the action number, and then that was action number 4 for that day because you brought in, $100,000 in revenue for that day.
Excellent. And so does this reflect it? So we have an allocation number with the employer identification number, and then a remittance number, which would be the invoice or the specific action, and where the employer identification number could be stated again, the chronos of the remittance, right? And then a serial number, so we can keep track of what actions were done that day on our books.
Can you make your screen a little bit bigger, Empress? If there's any, thank you, Islam. Yes, that's great right there. That is great. Yes, that's it.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah.
From what we can see here, that is how the system would easily record, and we could easily look things up by any one of those categories. We can look it up by the date of how many actions were done that day and what accounts they were done on. We could look it up by even the allocation number for those that day, how many things were allocated for that day, and so on and so forth. At some point, we will, as you go down into your records, we will be able to pull it up by the amounts too, based on what you already have done.
Yes.
Islam, if I may interject, because as you speak and we break talking this out, I'm seeing, because in the funny mirror, the APN number was a number associated with domiciles. And then the VIN number was a number associated with a conveyance or a vehicle or an automobile, right? And then so all those numbers fall under, clearly, the restated employee identification number for the United States, right? And then also the restated employee identification number for General Motors, right? And then also the restated employee identification number, let's say, so if it was a Toyota and you got the EIN number for Toyota, right? So those 3 employee identification numbers will all be for that one VIN, vehicle identification number, right?
Yes, that's just
so they will all come under the account, because we would do the remittance. This is how I'm processing this. We would do the remittance for all three of those accounts. Would we not?
And
So they
mean that we would need to do 3 of these. You get what I mean? Like, would we need to create a invoice record 3 times in triplicate, in effect, for each employer identification for each?
No, I'm thinking we put it on one affidavit.
Excellent. Okay, that's what I was glad to hear that.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, wonderful. So they would be here. So we would have more than one listed here.
What do you think, Empress Light?
Well, what I'm thinking is that for each lien that you've done is when you'll have a separate remittance number. The remittance numbers might look the same because you're talking about a VIN number for an automobile, but for every lien that you have, you will have a separate allocation record, even if it has the same. But you don't have to create it at the beginning, like what you're stating there, you know, where you would do 3 and do them in triplicate. You don't necessarily have to do that. They're going to come together on the spreadsheet on the back end, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just that for every lien, levy, and bond that you do, there has to be an allocation record.
Yes.
Even if that allocation record, sometimes the records might overlap, but just we keep our records,
yes,
you know, in alignment.
Yes,
we don't have to worry about thinking ahead or thinking over at that record or this record, because if you have it on a spreadsheet, the spreadsheet is going to do that anyway.
Indeed. Okay. Good point.
Islam. This is Empress Amani. I have a question. So looking at what is already stated here, I'm given a hypothetical. So because what I'm seeing is, and what's been presented is, okay, everything is done on this particular day. Now let's say, for example, things are being done in part. So now we got a portion of it that was given today, and maybe 2 days later of the same remittance number, now it's coming again on the 3rd day. So how would we track it looking at just this particular record? Are we going to go in on this record and make the adjustment, or is it going to be kind of like what's been stated, which is to go ahead and make a separate record now, because now we have to show that something else came in on this 3rd day? If I'm making any sense with that.
It's a good question. So here, let's refresh and become clear about, I created an account book that had 3 parts to it. So the first part is the appropriation. So this is the lien, levy, bond, public trust deed, and a low-deal title. This is our perfected claim, and this is the record of the claim itself, where we're taking the resources and nationalizing the resources, okay, at the first stage. On the allocation and remittance account sheet, it is now where we are remitting and allocating resources to us. So that is where, you know, allocation is basically saying we are going to allocate these resources to receive either the service or the product. That's what the allocation is. So this is where, you know, quantitatively we say we're buying something, you know, I mean, this would be the payment part of things. But how it is for us, it's also remittance, because all the resources return to us. So if you think about it, the appropriations is you laying the foundation of your claim, and then the allocation and the remittance is you accessing those resources in your favor. So you're saying, well, now that I have this, I now will to have, you know, an automobile, remitted to me. You know, it's time for those resources now to be remitted, to be received, and so, or accessed, maybe I should say, to be accessed. And so this is the second stage of it. and does that answer your question in terms of there's stages to this, there's layers to it, if that's what I was trying to share there. Does that answer your question that you had?
I think it does, in the fact that you're stating it's layers, because that's what I'm looking at also, is layers.
Mm-hmm.
So the visual would be the tracking of those layers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I do account books. One is appropriation, one is allocation and remittance. And then the third is tributes. So tributes is us being producers on the land and being the merchants and tributing on the land. And that also is a way that we are allocating and remitting resources as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right?
So I'm very visual. So I would have to get to that particular step to see how it all kind of gels together.
May I interject?
Or come together. Islam, I yield.
May I interject?
Islam?
I was wondering if you could even hear me because I had it muted. So, Empress Imani, with regard to your question, as you do a thing, that is going to be, as you start one of the steps in the process, that will be a new action number for that date. So, for example, if you do a lien, if you start a lien on, let's say, a Monday, then that's going to be the part of the account number for that day. Okay, and it's going to remain that even though you may not send the lien out until 2 weeks later. That's still going to be the number for that lien action.
Correct.
And then when you go to the levy part, it's going to be the same thing. Whenever you start that levy, that's going to be a new action number. And then when you send that levy out, or then it's that levy action is still going to have the same number, but now you have a return receipt number that you can add to what you've done for that lien or that levy that day.
Yes.
So you will update the record with that number.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still for the date that you created that action.
Oh, that would be the original date.
It would be the original date.
Oh, okay. Islam.
Does that clarify a little bit as well?
It
Hopefully.
does clarify a little bit more as well, because things can get confused or a little bit more confusing when you're tracking it, when you're in the process of tracking it, and because you didn't do things on the same day, then it's like, okay, how are we doing this, right? So in order to keep everything consistent in the brain and the functionality of it, otherwise it can get kind of fuzzy, and in that respect.
Every time money is moved, it has to be recorded. If it's not money moving in that court case, because it's a court case, everything that we do is a court action. If money is not moving, but you just maybe you signed something or you added a little something to it, that wouldn't cause a change in the record number. What causes a change in the record number is an action where there's either an appropriation or an allocation or a remittance or a tribute.
Okay.
Islam.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Islam, I yield. Thanks.
Islam.
Gratitude.
Islam,
may I interject?
Go ahead, Islam, no problem.
Okay. I'm partly understanding what y'all saying, but can we go over the document and show the document so we can visualize what's being said?
Okay.
With the document.
And if I may interject, for anyone who is, maybe you're feeling like this is a lot of information to take in, we would ask that you just still stay tuned into the information, because there is a divine recording that's happening in your mind right now, and just allow that process to take place. if you just stay focused, just look at the screen and hear what's coming in, even if you don't overstand it today, all things will be brought to your remembrance as you do the process. Islam, I yield.
So we were refining the affidavit for allocation, right? That's where we were. And I will first go through this, and then I could share some of the resources I located when I was putting this together, right? So let us continue. Let us continue. So the purpose of the allocation, and so here, this would be, because this one is for a lien, this should state, instead of a cancellation, it should just say lien, right? Right, this is a cause for action, for example, this is a cause for action, okay? So just so that that's clear. Right?
Yes, Islam.
Right, just so that clarifies it. So this is specific to, this is the purpose of the allocation, right? And then this is the amount, stated in moorishe dollarum for government works, and the remittance date, or the chronos for the remittance. Now, this is fairly straightforward. This is just the baseline information that I felt needed to be on here at this time. I don't know if there's more notes to be put into this, but I will share with you what I located when I was doing research about allocation records. This was the baseline information that I saw on allocation records, right? But I'm open to suggestions on that. So any thoughts and wisdoms about that will be well received. So.
Empress, I think so far we're taking in the information, and it makes complete sense right now from our perspective.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone else has any suggestions about how to improve on this process, I don't have any improvements right now. But if anyone, because there are others who are account scientists and things of that nature as well, so feel free to add your wisdom, Islam.
Islam, Dasha and Bay, and I'm. This is so beautiful. I'm listening. I have nothing to add at this point to improve, but I just want to affirm that as I'm listening, I am seeing myself and the steps that I have taken. And this is the recording of those steps. And so I fully comprehend why, we're all at different levels. But why some things maybe seem a little like, oh my gosh, so much. But this is truly an unraveling of the ball, as it were, of the account. And so, yeah, I'm absolutely, inspired, and I had my own accounts. What I will say from the way you have pulled it together and organized, it's seamless. Okay. And that's what I see, and it really has assisted me in moving in some places, because this is what I see. It literally is a stepping, the footsteps of my footsteps, of our footsteps. And so I just, high honors, this is beautiful. So I yield.
Islam. So let me share some of my notes. I think this is the moment to share some of my notes, because there were steps along the way. So, so when I began my research, I was researching procurement, and what I found was this. So hold on here, just one moment. So I put in Canada procurement line items account. And I found guidelines under departmentalized chart of account line object codes. And so from that, there was two things that was provided to me. One was a spreadsheet, right? Obviously. And so there was group codes and categories, a lot of them, not all of which I knew what the codes meant, but I got that there was a lot of coding to that. There were categories, for example, personnel, compensation, and then I found that there were also line items. So, for example, here, it says basic salary and wages for intermediate civilian personnel. This is a line item. It's stating what the allocation is for. They're not really saying the amount, but they're saying this is being allocated and it is under their salary and wages classification. And all of it is being grouped in that way on each line item. So that assisted me to know that how we set it up is we could set it up however we want, but each one is as what they described as a data point. You know what I mean? This is how they were gathering the information and putting it together. That was really helpful because as I began to look at the programming and writing the script for us to streamline and make this more efficient, so have automation basically in how we're able to do our accounts. The conversation of data points come up. There was 3 steps that came up, which was one, that we have a form which is to gather data, and then from that point that data was then streamlined into the spreadsheet, and then from the spreadsheet, from there the last step was that then documents were generated from the data that was in the spreadsheets, so that we are creating automatic. That's the automatic part where the spreadsheet information is there, and then that fits into these document templates. And so that was like the 3 steps, very helpful to get that overview. The other thing was, this was a, you know, as the subjects are using an overview of how they're creating their code. And so this was helpful for me just to get an overview of that. You know, they're looking at it as a ministry. And then there's ways of reporting that information and the authority. So this is appropriations versus remittance, for example. You know what I mean? The kind of programs so these were all data points. And so that was helpful.
Just a moment, Empress. Let me just see where that's coming from. Okay. Islam. Empress, if I may interject here. So this is what we're looking at here today is the back end of the system. So for those who are not necessarily as enthused about systems, from the back end, don't worry about it because this will be presented on the front end as a simple dashboard is what they call it. It's just a simple little template where when your things come in, and we'll all be using the same system, and whenever you do an action, you'll have a dashboard where you know this is you'll go to the lean dashboard and start putting in certain information right into the little spaces there, and then the system is going to pull that into you're populating an Excel spreadsheet like what she's showing you, but it's a dashboard, so it looks like a template. It'll be very easy to work, okay? And then the back end of the system will be putting that into Excel and then bringing it in together in Access. Access is a numerous amount of Excel pages or information that comes together so that, just like Empress Imani asked, you know, or I believe it was Empress Angel that asked about the VIN number and all of the different things that could be the different contracts or affidavits that could be attached to that one VIN number, Access will pull all of that in from each one of the tables. Each table that has that one number, it will bring in all of the information. Okay, so for those who are just concerned more with the front end, it's going to be very simple. The back end is a little more complicated, and that's what Empress Anagel has brought to us today, which we're so excited about. But for everyone will be able to use the system because it's going to be very, very straightforward and user-friendly on the front end. Islam.
It will be like an app. It'll be as simple as an app, basically, right? And so we know how to use those, so it'll be easy. Yes. So here we are. And so from the template, if I may just persist in this area, so this is the first affidavit, and here's the second one. Where's the remittance record? And so this is an as-is statement is not taxed. It's a full ownership statement, right? And a statement about customs as well, because that is what I observed when I did research on these. And so the general service bond, so I hope it is large enough, but the general service bond number is the same account number in my case. Here, we will update this information because this is going to now read like this. So these two come down here. Okay. And they will be blue, but in effect, this is how this will work now, right? And the purpose of the allocation will remain the same. Pardon that, I'm going to copy and paste just so it's visually giving us all the information we need. This is a cause for action. And then, so this is an as-is statement. The sender is a remittance. So this is a wire transfer, basically, this layout as I laid it out here. So the sender, and then the remittance amount, and then our receiving of it. So that is what this remittance affidavit is basically stating. Right? We've allocated the resources, and now we're receiving the resources, right? The only thing that I'm still working on here is to have the amount written out in words. That's the only thing that I haven't yet figured out how to, but I will. Like, you know what I mean? It's an aspect to it that I'm working on, but that would be the only thing. And so this affidavit is, I trust, well. Any suggestions would be welcome, as we will to refine it.
The amount is written in words there. Is there something that we're missing about how to do that?
I need to learn how to teach the script to put that in automatically. And because we write in Old English, it may be the one thing that we have to manually put in. I'm not quite sure how to get around that. I have to think about it. It's something to come to. Because even if I had a program that changed numbers to words, and I do have a program for that, right? But then it's still not in Old English. And I don't know if it's such a big deal, but I have consistently written our numbers, you know, in ancient English. So that's an interesting point.
So Empress, because of the stage that we're at right now, it can be written in what we would call common English, not corporate English or dead English, but common English. They look the same. Okay. So it can be written in common English for at this point.
Yes, ma'am.
For programming purposes.
Yes.
Because the system itself is built on ancient English. So that part can be common English written.
Okay.
What starts in truth is going to stay in truth. Islam, I yield.
Islam Empress, pardon me. So on the blue sheet, in common English, wouldn't that be what we would be doing anyway? Because it's on the commercial part. And if we were going to write it in ancient English, it would be on the red.
That's that's so good, Empress Nabi. Wow. Because that is what we said. That's what we stated for the most part.
Yes. Since we're talking to a system,
yeah,
giving them the language that they understand.
It doesn't necessarily have to be in common English. We still will that there be a difference in how we write our things and how it was written in the previous era. But to be very close, that's a good rule. That it can be the rule, but there will always be exceptions to the rule. So we can do it that way, Empress Nabi. That's brilliant.
Yes.
Islam. I just want to bring a point out. It's similarly to how we do the quote-unquote corporations. So when it's under the corporation, then it's under how they write it. But then once it's bonded to the land, now the address and everything is written out and everything is spelled out. So I just wanted to bring that point out. That's what it kind of reminds me of what she's pointing out. Islam, are you?
Islam. That is true. We have nationalized the resource. Islam.
Islam, I have a just quick question. Can we also put the longitude and latitude for the locations? Instead of having, what was once corporate, but we could put the longitude and latitude, which equates to the land.
Islam. That's an interesting point because I've only began to really use post office codes. Like I'm just now in it. Like I'm the post. So I'm enjoying post office codes right now. And also because what is linked in the account for the line item is the public trust deed and allodial title, which has all the natural era code and meets and bounds for the land. But it's a good point. We have choices to put it on our
Islam, and also to add the plus code, I think is really good.
The what code?
Plus code. So it's called plus code. So just like if you would do like the dead address. So the dead address is a zip code. But when we bond it to the land, then we turn that zip code into a plus code.
Yes. So I've been naming them post office codes. and written in English, and I'm having a great time putting everything as post office codes right now.
I think that can be that there can be a notes section for that option so that you can add in whatever latitude and longitude plus code, like what she stated. We do call them post office codes, and that is the language that we use for that. But there is a note section for each action that you do where you can put all of that in there, and it will still be captured by the system. Islam.
Islam.
Islam is.
Oh, I have. Let me see. A statement on that. What we're speaking of currently. What I'm seeing is the chart that we had done where we have the empire, allodial, United States, and then we go down to commerce. And so what I'm seeing, I think we could be complicating things by bringing too much from the top down into its from my perspective anyway, it seems unnecessary when we are certain of which area we're in. And that's clear by, you know, our colors, the language, and all of those types of things. So I'm seeing simplification. And we've already identified everything via what we've put on the public record already. So that's my input. I yield. Islam.
So I affirm that. That makes sense to me as well.
Islam.
And so this at this time is the remittance record. And I trust that it is simple and good for our use. I envision it more like a form, that these two would be forms that we would just input the information from the spreadsheet into. So these are two forms that go with the spreadsheet at this time, right? The accounts. And so that is our second stage. So first is the cause account number. Then here are the invoices, and we just looked at the template for the invoices, which is the part that I'm still refining as we go through. And here's the debtor. Column, the at-land location. Column. And then United States Post Office number. So this was the cause for action number that the remittance went with. And then here's the remittance amount and deduction summary, the employer identification number, and then the cause for action links 1 and 2, the unit amount as it is in our allocation. Pardon, I thought we were on the appropriation one. Pardon one moment then. Oof. Here we go. Let's go back to the first one here again. Sorry. United States Post Office number, lien and remittance amount, employer identification number, Article 3 calls for action 1 and 2, the levy, the bond, the United States deed and perfect clear allodial title, and the chronos of the lien. And that was the appropriations line items and what it looked like at this time. So that's what this is. And then when we get into the remittance, then there's more information about the deductions, and so we could go into that if we will to at this time. But was there any questions at this point about just the line items and how we set it up and what the line items are, and if we will to add any other line items or take away any line items, columns to the line item that we have presently. So that was the question that I had for the Congress about efficiency. Is the information here, and do we need anything else to make it clearer?
Empress, if you go to the last category, I believe it's G.
Okay.
So
yes.
I'll keep going there.
Yes.
What are you finding? Yes, the chronos of the lien. What are you finding is easier systemically in terms of the format of the date? Because I noticed you have 3 or 4 different formats for the date there. What are you finding is easier for you?
It's presently the program keeps on changing because it recognizes as a date, and so it wants to change it to a certain format, right? And so as you see, when I wrote out the word March, it didn't change it, right? Yeah. So, you know, that's probably where I'm going to be with it, is just write out, because when you put in the numbers, it wants to reformat the information.
Right. Yes. You know, putting it in the format that's working, that 2025 with March written all the way out, that's actually going to be easier systemically as well, just because, and this is not for anyone to think about right now, but systemically when we upload everything into the system, the dates are going to be in Roman numerals anyway. But it will be according to what you have there.
Yes.
So whenever the system sees this, the system will say, okay, we know that that's March 21st, 2025. You know.
That's well.
Yeah. So if that works better system-wise.
Okay. So I will adapt and streamline that.
It's fine, ma'am.
It's fine.
Great work. Absolutely. This is an SOS, system order structure that I always try to do, but a beautiful one.
Speak up just a little bit, Justice Harold.
A little better? Okay. Okay, just one technical question there. Your documents, are they linked there or embedded? And you got it on another sheet with a link, or are they embedded right there?
So this is if I may, this is a link. So for example, if we go here to General Service Bonds, for example, here's a folder where I put all the bonds. Here, if I click on it, this is how it comes up on the screen in Google Docs. If I go over here and I say copy link, I can copy the link, bring it over into the cell, and actually let's open the same one that's there so it'll be easier on us. Yes, so this one, for example, I copy the link and I bring it over and place it in the cell. I could cut and paste it here. Now, when I go to that, when I click on, so when I input it, I paste it, it comes up as words, as an HTML URL link. When I click on it again, it will ask me if I want to change it into a chip. And that's what I've done. I changed it into a chip, and then it just lists the title for the PDF instead. So the PDF is a bond, and it says PDF, and that's how I created the chips embedded. That means that when we are creating the folders with those, with these documents, we have to make them shareable as well. So the spreadsheet has to be shareable, and the folders need to be shareable. Otherwise, when anyone goes in to open it, they won't be able to see what the document was. Okay, so that's just the key. When I sent the links, I sent, for example, I sent the shareable parts of it. If you get what I mean, all the folders are shareable in the drive, so that when I link it in, it's now accessible to anyone who receives the spreadsheet.
Islam. From my understanding, it would be recommended that you create a whole different Gmail account just so you can create these spreadsheets, because Google, when you add files into your Google account, it takes up a lot of storage. So because we're going to have a lot of information, Google Drive plus emails, that's what I want to say, plus emails and things, it's going to take up a lot of space very quickly. And so if you have an email that's almost full, then you won't be able to access that, so readily as you desire and add to that account, because the full space of storage is full. So go ahead on and create a whole new Google Drive account, and then go ahead on and make you this beautiful documentation, yes, and then you will have easy access for all of your sharings and creations of your document records. Islam.
One of the things I would like to say is kind of going back to what Empress Light was talking about, the date, and also what Empress Angel was talking about. This will make it accessible for us to do like monthly ledgers or weekly ledgers going forward if we do it like this. So I love it. I mean, and actually, when you were talking about creating a separate Google Drive, being able to give ourselves an entry number or name for each, empress or noble, so we know whose ledger it's coming from, and if there's anything we need to question, we know who to contact.
Excellent. Yes. That's it really creates a way for us to organize all the actions that we're doing as court actions, and everything that we do is a court action. So, yeah, it's all remedy indeed. So,
I have a question on the United States deeds plus the perfect clear allodial titles. Are we going to add or provide space for like supportive documents or supportive, I guess, affidavits? Maybe I'm just trying to figure out what to call it. But say, for example, we have more than just the trust deed and the secured perfect allodial title. Let's say, for example, I'm going to look at one of my files here. Let's just say, for example, we have like a transfer of inheritance affidavit, or let's see if I have anything else. But anyway, it's just kind of like along those lines. No trespass affidavit, removal for applied right. I mean, when you think of all the supportive documents to a land or domicile, would there be space for all of these supportive documents, or how would that work? Islam, I yield.
Islam, you've asked the same question twice, which is wonderful. Like I really am glad for that, because envision that if you are doing a domicile demonstration, for example, you would have your allocations records first, because that would be your lien, levy, bond, allodial title, and public trust deed. That would be your baseline part of the demonstration, because that would be that you've claimed the resources and nationalized the resources. Then you would go to your allocation record, and depending on what the demonstration is, let me move it over, depending on what the demonstration is, then you would put that information in. You would say, this is still the same cause or account number. In this case, it's Toronto Community Housing, right? I have a lien under this account number, this cause number, right? I've now done an allocation and remittance record, which is the general statement that we have, as the government, allocated these resources, right, for public works. Whatever the works is, we are going to define it, but this is the allocation. This is the law that allocates the resources for our use, right? So this is what these two, this step is. Here is the, again, the clarity of that, who the debtor is and the location of the nationalized resource. And then the cause for action number, the post office number for that cause. And then in here, we have some choices about how we would then look at this resource that we have allocated to us. So in the travel and transportation, in this case, it was a bill, it was a lease. They had a monthly amount, and I remitted it as many times as I have created our basically our deduction summary, our temples that we deduct commercially through. But if it was, for instance, and here it is, as you said, you've allocated some resources to, let me say, I don't know, caring for your heirs, you would put a cause for action link or whatever affidavit that you had created around allocating those resources, you would put it here as a link. And if there was all other records you could put in here as well. You could make as many columns to put in all the affidavits that you had created to justify this allocation of resources, the records of these resources being allocated.
Yes, that's what I was referring to, was really how to track the additional records, or meaning supported documents. Not that they were necessarily whatever you called it at first, the remittance or something. But I was looking at the heading, the one that I called out, and I think if you go further to the right, yeah, I think it would be to the right of where you are, I think, where it was stating, United States, something, the heading.
Oh, pardon.
Yeah, a little bit further to the right.
Okay.
And I apologize, I'm just kind of visual, so. Because that's what I was referring to, right? Because you had the once you get there, because right, the United States. No, not that one. Keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going. I don't see it now. Wait, hold on. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it now. That's okay. Yeah, I don't see it now. But anyway, it was referring to land because, you have all these other documents that kind of follow in it. If I'm making any sense. So let me pull up my record so I know what I'm talking about. Okay.
So, just one moment. So can you tell me which one you were looking for so we could find it? Let's see.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me kind of clear my screen so I can see. Okay. It said United States, not the post office. It was United States land deeds right here. Yeah, table 2. So It said United States deeds plus you got the perfect clear allodial titles, and I was adding to that particular aspect of it, and so and that's what I was trying to figure out. Was the additional documents that would go with that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay, so let's look at what I have here, and then we could speak about maybe what we could add to it.
Okay.
Right? So I have United States Public Trustee. Here's our first page. And here I have the address stated and the universal natural area code as well. Right? And then I have the meets and bounds where I define the land.
Right.
By longitude and latitude, and I do the coordinates. And then I know it's a really tiny little rectangle here, but it's the outline of the land as well. So when I've done, I do big and small ones. So this is the big one, where I define each point, and I do it as a rectangle, or just a defined area. Or I just take the center point of the of whatever the building is or the location, and I just do one point. Right. So I do it 2 different ways. Just how my spirit feels about it. And then so this specific page I do in blue, and you'll see it as well in red. Okay. So here's the document, the third page of the deed, and then here's the allodial title. Normally there's a page with $10 moorishe as well, as a recording fee for this, for the recordation of this. So I normally have the moorishe right there, and then here is the clear perfect allodial title. The information is the same in both, as you see, right? I clearly outline the land area here, and then I talk about the X relations, what it was before and what it is now, and I name the land, right? Each estate, right? And then here's again the page about the meets and bounds, the outline of what the estate is.
Now, if I need to add a document, so if I need to add a document, let's say a third document, I need to add into that file, right there. How would I do that?
So I just added it into my allodial title. So I added a document giving all the numbers that were related to this claim, right? Because I'm making a record. So I'm making a record saying that the cause number is this number, the sovereign ancient parcel number is this number. I put all my recording numbers on one page and then put it into the title as well.
Oh, I see now. Okay, yes, that's what I was trying to figure out in my brain. How are we getting all of this information in there? But what I'm hearing you to say is you put it all in this one particular document and everything is there. Voila,
Yeah,
we're done. Okay, perfect.
And it's all record numbers, so I just listed all the numbers that I have assigned to this particular claim.
Right,
okay. Claim.
I have that. Islam, yes. That answers my question, yes.
Yeah, that was my way of doing it, but I know others have other methods as well. Islam,
gratitude. And might I add, we're going to have personal ledgers, and we're going to actually have ledgers for our nation as well. So our personal ledgers, we may add things to the bottom of a document or a list of documents or take them away, depending on what we're doing, or we can add a note section on our personal ledgers. So that's just another, piece to that as well.
Islam. In addition to what Empress Nabi just stated, these records will be, there will be a part of the record system that will be private. So everything in red is going to be private. It's going to be where only the owner and the systems operator can access that part. So allodial titles and stuff, they will not be public. They will be private. Mm-hmm. And so everything that you want to be private, put it in red. And then the blue stuff, only certain parts of the blue will be public. Not even the whole thing. Only the parts that are necessary to be public will be public. Mm-hmm. Just to show that the information is there. So it'll be similar to tax assessor records that we were looking at in the previous era, but all of the other, because there's a lot of meat in these records. It's a whole lot of information in these records. The majority of that information will be privately accessed. That way, if someone calls about your records, there's only certain things, certain information they can get about your records. Okay, but from a systems perspective, because it's going to be us over the system, we're over the system because we're building it, we can look and see, well, was there an exchange that went on the public record? Does she have a allodial title? Is it, and things of that nature about the properties and things. So, Islam, this is beautiful, beautiful. And the system is also going to have a keywords-based option, so that anything you put in your notes, if it's a keyword and you say, well, I know I put this in there, then we can search it by keyword and it'll pull in the notes and everything else. It's going to be a very user-friendly system, both from the front end and the back end. Islam, I yield.
Islam, if I may just right quick, I also see this being used for trusts, trust in our estate, because when we create our trust, those are private documents, but they're also for us to see and keep record of, so we need to have a system that we can streamline, keep our trust, and, because when we create and join our kinfolk together, let's say I was in Aqquisitionne union with Nathaniel, so to have a trust like that on the public record, saying that we have a trust, and then behind the scenes having all the meat and potatoes about it in private.
Yeah. It'll just be a simple question that says, is there a trust on file? And that is what Moors will present to the systems, to the system. You can show the system, yes, I do have a trust, and the only thing is there will be a yes or no. Is there a trust for this property? Yes, there is. If not, no.
Yes, and are you?
Yeah, Islam, Empress Light, I'm glad that you said that. And Empress Angel, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to speak in regards to the trust that we created that were in red, like the, you know, that they should be, I was thinking that all along that they should be private because the subjects aren't used to seeing our documents. And so when we go to take possession and custody of a property, we may want to present another type of trust, you know, that's not in the another type of trust document, one that they can receive on its face and appearance in blue, you know, contrary to our red documents. Islam, I yield.
Well, that will just be the statement of trust, the declaration of trust. A declaration of trust just says, yes, I have a trust, and I'm in trust with, and how that declaration looks, it's one of the first 6 items. That's a declaration of trust, one of the first 6 of the 40 documents.
Oh, yes.
It doesn't tell what's in it. It just says there is one. Islam. We were thinking ahead. Yeah, Islam.
Islam. Basically, that front first trust sheet, so that nothing can be corrupted, because we know how the old system was, and being able to access that, we don't want any of that information corrupted or removed. So I definitely agree that it's a good idea.
Yeah. We'll be uploading this system, so it won't be able to even be corrupted by foreigners or anything. They won't have access to it because we're the ones building it right now and setting the parameters for entry into the system. Islam.
Islam, this is Tonis Al Bay, Talifa territory in northwest of Maxim. And I want to first say, I've just been sitting here almost in tears because one of my wishes for this month has just, I mean, there's a demonstration right in front of us. Everything I've been talking about, rah, and, you know, what are we going to build? Here it is. Here's a demonstration right in our face. I want each and every one of you on this call to, like, if you can, look at yourself right now and, like, I don't want to say pat yourself on the back, but I am really proud of all of you. I really am. It is an honor to be, because you don't realize you're making history right now. This is the protocol for what's to come. This is amazing. Okay, I've been waiting for this moment. Y'all heard me speaking about this for, you know, forever, Mr. Hopeful. Well, here it is. Okay, and I just want, you know, I'm kind of pinching. I'm almost at tears, really, because, I mean, for the longest time, I've been wanting for the wait and talking of, and now here it is. So, all I can say is, good job doesn't even begin to, like, man, even if everything on here, what I am grateful for is everybody pulling together to do whatever we're going to do together and make it happen. You know, no matter what, we won't fail with that. Okay? And also, I want to point out, keep in mind, you don't have to do what they did. If there's a complicated process, this is our thing now. Simplify it. Make it as easy as possible, okay? Make it secure, but make it, you know, simplify some of this stuff. We don't have to do what they did. All we got to do is hook into it to make sure that we get what's on the record for us and take it back, reclaim it. But then in all the rules that we're going to do, I want to come to my job and be happy. I don't want to have to, like, sit through amounts of paperwork and processes that are intent to deceive people. Remember, when you become transparent, it's for everyone. So simplify some of it. We don't have to do what they did. Keep that in mind. So anyway, good job, y'all. Man, y'all made my century, straight up. Islam, nobles.
Islam. Thank you, Chief Justise Pauline.
Gratitude.
Islam. Islam, I have another question. So as we've come to where we are now, but prior to, so we all kind of given our own back numbers and et cetera, named our own documents. Now, how would we, does this mean we need to renumber our documents now? Or what would change? Islam, I yield.
If I may? Go ahead.
Yes, please do, Empress.
I was going to say that where MAC numbers are concerned, you can add them to the notes for each of the records, and then that way you'll still be able to pull it up by your MAC number if you want to look at it. And then the systemically, we are going to have the numbers match what Empress Anagel has here. So if you did not have your numbers arranged the way that she has the numbers here, systemically the system will assign it, and then in the notes we'll put whatever number you have so that anytime you put that number in, you'll be able to pull up that record.
Islam, wonderful. Islam, I yield.
Islam, so I have a question, and it was a question that I had from last Congress, or the previous Congress, which was about what is government records and what is personal records. Because, you know, I intuited that we need to put the baseline in place. So the appropriations account is the baseline. You know, this is the cause for action, which is nationalized resource. But when we get to the allocations and remittances, well, I do recognize that we will be doing government records, and does that mean at the beginning? Well, maybe because I'm at the beginning, but at the beginning, does that mean that we are our care for ourselves, our personal records is under government remittance and allocation as well? So, for instance, as a health ministry action, I may will to buy, you know, good running shoes or good shoes for for the heirs. Am I placing that as a government health ministry remittance, or is this going to be a personal remittance, or do they fit together? So I had some questions about what is government and what is personal in our accounts and remittances.
Empress, oh, I love that question. It just gives me goosebumps because I love the answer to that question. Everything we do, and we've stated this many times before, but this is where it all comes together. There is not a single thing that we can do or buy that does not fit into the category of being reimbursable by the government. Now, our personal records, although we have ownership of them, they are still, the information is still government information. And here's why: because we are the government. We the people is the government. That is those two categories of a government record and a personal record, they have a meeting point. Mm-hmm. That meeting point makes it so that prior to getting to the meeting point, it's a personal record. Mm-hmm. But then the government, when it meets with government, is where reimbursement is going to come in. It's also where expense accounts, even for the heirs, because it is a medical issue that they have the right shoes and the right, supplies and tools and clothing and erudition and all of that. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing that we can do that is not reimbursable by the government. That's biblical and scriptural and all of that, according to 30, 60, and 100-fold return on everything that we do. Mm-hmm. And then as a government record, it's going to be just like the tax assessor records. Those records, they sound like tax assessor records because you can see where the tax assessor types some things in and assess the value, but ultimately they still belong to the people. Mm-hmm. And that was where the mix-up came in, where tax assessors were pretending like they owned the domicile or the house because they got a record, and that's not true. Ultimately, the people are the government, and the government is the people, where we're concerned, the sovereign. Islam, I yield.
Islam, if I may.
Islam.
Justice Nathaniel and I was having a very interesting conversation today, and it was structured around this video we've seen on YouTube about a subject speaking about a document that the subject in the office of Chief Executive Officer for the corporation put and stated. And the word was civil what? Commitment. That's the word. Civil commitment. And so once we started digging into what that meant, and by etymology and definitions and such, and we was communicating on that, what it comes down to is the commitment that is to the Constitution. And I said, well, wait a minute. If that's what it is, then the treaties apply. Because this was about a document that was enacted by a subject concerning the quote-unquote homelessness and such on within the land. And so it was stating how there is a need to take and house the people and so on and so forth. Everything that this Congress has already done and talked about. But to the point of civil commitment, we was talking about, and we went down a whole rabbit hole just talking about definitions of the words and what it means and such about treaty obligation and the treaty, nationality, how it's the order of the day, identify the parties, and how the treaty and the Constitution work together as far as how we are the ones who created the Constitution for the corporations, and how the treaty is the one that we created for everything to be governed by. And so I just found it, because I never heard of civil commitment before, and we just had a really good conversation about that civil commitment. Islam.
Civil commitment is actually keeping our own records, and again, civil is not really the right word, because civil rights and all of that doesn't have anything to do with us in terms of as sovereigns. But sovereign commitment is exactly what we're doing right now, which is keeping our records and then agreeing to bring our records together as a system so that the things that we've been saying in the past manifest. The things that we've been saying is that we're the heirs to all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. That's what this is proving. This is proof of that. And then, because all land has already been titled to us, by us, now anyone coming in, there's a place for them in the system, including the subjects. We mind and manage and govern the back end, which is where the information goes in at. We're the only ones who can put information in here, so it won't be corrupted. It can't be corrupted because we're agreeing now what that information is going to look like. And so that's why we thank Empress Anagel for her presentment here, because she's giving the system the language so that it's incorruptible and uncorruptible and unalienable and inalienable. You can't lean this information. Islam, I yield.
Islam. I'd like to add just a little bit. It's liking to me what we're doing when Minister Anagel is talking about the heirs being on ministerial duty, and each one, or divine ministerial duty, being able to issue out what that minister needs, whether it's an heir or whether it's us. That's our duty to be able to do that and take care of them in their ministerial duty.
Islam. The word health means whole. They must always be whole. So that is where the billing of anything that has to do with the heirs can go in the health category or the healing category. Islam, I yield.
Islam. And so here we are at the point where I'm thinking about these deductions. So let us, bring forth this part here. We have 13 temples here. In my research, just so you can see some of what I located in my research. At the beginning, for example, I found this. Let me make it a little bit bigger, which was an example of in the subject about an allocation of resources. I looked at a lot of different ways that resources are allocated. So this one was excellent because it said the bid, it said the amount, they had an amount, they had terms of how much time, it was a measurable amount of time, and then the amount, the totals here. So that was a good observance for me around, baseline information to allocate resources. There was one. Here was another where when I was looking for examples of invoices, right? This was an easy way to look at how travel expenses were allocated, right? This was very straightforward. This is clearly stating and what other incidentals and because Islam and because we are as Moors we do things we prepare. This is, just allocating the resources and remitting them. And here is an example of what the invoice would look like. So that was another example that I found when I was doing the research. Here was another one, which was a direct deposit enrollment form. Direct deposit is an excellent way to activate or create access in the system because it is telling them where to place the resources. So this was an excellent, research, again, where I could say, oh, I could restate this easily as an affidavit and say whatever the office that I had claimed, I would put the restated logo here and then allocate, that resource to myself through this direct deposit affidavit in this way that it could be restated. Another one was just a claims form. So that was brilliant as well. It was super simple. But all this was the resources I looked at in the system so that I knew what the system was looking for in terms of information to convey resources. It was looking for, an account number, a title, a recipient. You know what I mean? This is the information that it was a beginning start date, an end date. Like they were looking for very specific measurable things that once we input that into the system then, says, okay, I get it. You've answered the questions. And all this has to do with procurement. This is the foundation of what procurement really is. And as I've been researching, procurement is, service. I mean, what the tellers were wanting to be. This is procurement. This is this aspect of our government, right? So that was another example, and I think this one read the same way as well. It was a bank remittance adjustment. It was the same baseline information on all the forms. And so from this information, I was able to create the invoices because they were, just providing the same information the system needs as data points to know what to do next, to know how to allocate the resources and where to allocate the resources, right? And so I share that as just information to be shared at this point as we move forward into creating the
the affidavits that we will to allocate resources to ourselves in our favor. We take the office and then we allocate those resources to ourselves in our favor. And there's no specific one office that all offices can be that for us, right? So that I think is the fullness of what I will to share today. And I think from this point we can then work through how we will to bring it together as we move forward. So I yield.
Excellent.
Empress, you're muted.
Empress Light.
You're muted.
Anagel, excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Amazing.
Gratitude. Gratitude.
I have to say, you know, as you went on to those extra resources, those forms, light bulbs are just popping in my own mind because I'm looking at those direct deposits and the banking. The banking is part of this also with those resources, with those forms. And the inputs will already be in the basic outline, the basic recordation. It's just, I mean, you just hit the bell. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's not that I haven't walked in and these are things people, there's so many documents my head can't keep straight. But what you have brought is you've just brought it all together.
Yes.
As the crown upon your head, which is beautiful, I might add.
Yes.
I have to say I have one in working, not crochet, and that's exactly what you've done. You've literally gone out there, expanded into the world of records and government and you've just brought it all. It's beautiful. You are beautiful.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Gratitude. Gratitude. Yes.
Now we know what to do next. Islam?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, Empress Anagel, this week I was just thinking, I was thinking about, you know, your presentment, looking forward to it, of course. And I happened to just go behind my desk and look at the stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of documents.
I got lots of them. Yes.
Now, you have employed me for the next 6 months or more on just scanning in things to the record. I mean, I have them in electronic form, but I will that they be aligned the way that you have everything aligned here. It is just beautiful because some of the documents are not connected to the other. You know, some of my bonds are not connected to the lien and levy electronically. You know, and that it's just a very beautiful. We're just so grateful. You've given us the next levels of governing the resources because every record is a resource.
Every single one. And we are abundance. It's just wealth flowing everywhere, all the time. Yes.
Yes. This is amazing. Justice Kansu. Islam, Justice Kansu.
I just want to say, Empress Anagel, the presentation is very, I don't even find the word for it, but it's excellent and keep up the work. Make sure you're Islam.
Gratitude. Islam.
Islam.
Justice Willie. That Islam, every time it catches me by surprise.
How you guys doing?
We're well. Good day.
I can't help but, Anagel, I can't help but, every time I look at you, I am seeing none of the maroons. Am I the only one who's seeing that?
Yeah, she must be a foreign mother, yes?
Yeah, nanny incarnated, reincarnated.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome. For the benefit of, let's say someone is just joining or came across this video, can you give me in a sentence or two what exactly you're doing?
Yes. So Matriarch Light and the Congress has put forth to us Moors that we are to keep our own records. We're to keep our own accounts. And bookkeeping is the idea of the accounts, is to be kept in our jurisdiction. Yeah, in our custom, indeed. So so here's our accounts in Moorish sovereign dolarum and in gold and silver. And for us as Moors, the first step is to nationalize the resources. So our first account page here is our liens, our levies, our bonds, our lodial titles, our public trust deeds, where we have nationalized the resources and brought it back onto the land. So that's the first step. And then on the allocation and remittance account records, we are doing demonstrations where we're getting remedies in some cases where there's bills that we're canceling, or anything else. Like in truth, remittances are the true idea that we're allocating resources to ourselves and in our favor. So that could be an allocation for, delivery of organic food, each week, for example. It could be as simple as that. And so we would write the remittance, the allocation and remittance record, and place it as a line item on our accounts. And that would be us allocating those resources to ourselves as the Moorish government, and also as Moors in trust with each other. So that would be my summary of what this information is here. This one.
I did say a sentence or two. That was a paragraph.
I know.
Come on, you're on television, primetime television. You have only 10 seconds to pitch here what you're doing. But anyway, that was good. Thank you very much. Awesome job. Like I said, I just like to know that, maybe somebody not sure what's going on, and they come, they want to kind of like a summary of exactly what's she doing, what's all this on these figures, what do they represent, So, yeah, but anyway.
And nobility, just to be clear, what is the significance of this is because we are the Treasury. And I think that's what needs to be stated. These are Treasury records. This is the bank, right?
Okay.
And I think up until this point, there's been some confusion about what is the bank. The bank is the records.
Come on now. Woo! Teach, Empress.
Yep.
What were you about to say, Light, Empress?
Well, I was just going to add to what the great Empress stated. What we're doing is we're changing bills to wealth. We're stating the source for all resources. Mm-hmm. We're canceling debt and presenting the credit and then using it. Mm-hmm. We're showing how the national debt is actually not a debt, it's our credit. Mm-hmm. Because we don't have any debt.
Correct. Awesome.
So
thank you.
Some short sentences.
Yeah, I get the picture. That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Islam. Empress Anagel, you have us all just floating. I just know I'm not floating by myself. This is beautiful. It's a lot of work, but you know what? To whom much is given, much is required. We welcome the work because guess what? Most of us did all of this in the previous era for somebody else. We were governing someone else's perceived wealth. Yep. So we're so happy to do it for our own selves, our government, our heirs, and each other. Islam.
And Empress, I wanted to add my son, my heir was asking me, Mom, what are you going to do with a 9 terabyte drive?
Woo.
So now I know. He's like, you couldn't possibly fill all of that up. I'm like, yes, I can.
Speaking of that, Empress Nabi, thank you. Ooh, speaking of that, everyone, if you can get a hold of something like that, a 9 terabyte drive or something like that, or if you can get a hold of one of these, but it's not wireless, is what I'm saying. They shouldn't have any wireless capability. That way nobody can tap into it. All this is one of those old towers. This one is old. It's like 10 or 15 years old. If you can find one somewhere that does not have wireless capability, then please do so. Do find it and just set it aside. Just set it aside, because it is a great way to store information that if the machine is turned off, no one can access that information. Okay? If it's turned off, no one can access it. Even if it's turned on, they would have to be actually in the same room with that piece of equipment in order to access anything on it.
Islam,
Empress.
I was just telling one of the nobles, it was either last week or the week before last, when you had that special session and you were emphasizing to make sure to find one of the towers in our houses that didn't have, the Wi-Fi or wasn't connected, and to grab one of those, because you were like, that's what that doing business as the Federal Reserve, that's what they do. They just unplug it and go back and forth. So Islam,
yeah,
you reviewed it. Thank you.
Yes, Empress, it's important. And if you don't have access to one or you don't have one, do not worry, because there's one somewhere on hold for you, because they kept doing planned obsolescence and they just stored them in warehouses.
Islam.
So no worries. All of that stuff, everything that we need, the ancestors have it for us. It's set aside for us to move forward. Islam.
I have some suggestions for those. A lot of the quote-unquote libraries have upgraded to what they call a government status. So they're getting rid of all of their old towers. And the colleges as well. The Goodwill has a refurbished center where they have an electronic refurbished center, and they have some as well.
Ooh, Empress Nabi, honey, you are a source. You are a source. Because, again, just so that you all are aware, one of these or several of these was the quote-unquote SWIFT system.
By the way, Islam again.
Islamic nobility.
So based on some research and things on Donald Trump and what they're planning to do with the debt of the United States dollar, the IOU notes, Federal Reserve notes, they will be, according to what the report says, they owe us $38 million, but they'll be sending a check to everyone of $1.1 million as settlement for the $38 million. Are you aware of that or no?
Those are the numbers, and it's 38 trillion. Those are the numbers that, so as we begin to issue out to the heirs there are some who don't know that this is going on, but they know that they're due something. Most people know that there's a wealth transfer happening right now. So when we get ready to issue out wealth to the people, we'll be issuing it out on average, each one will receive something like 1.1 million to start with. That's just the ones that don't have humanitarian or the information that we have. We have systems information. When you have systems information, then the issue is a systems issue. And when I say issue, I mean the amount of appropriations that will be allocated to us is according to what we govern. And see, each one of us, and that's why this record keeping is so important, is each one of us that governs these records, we're going to have more resources allocated to us because of the record management mandate. Okay, but then the average one that's just still been going to the mall every day, but their heirs now, they will receive something like 1.1 million. Hopefully they will use it to enhance, increase, and better themselves. But everyone is due to the more first and then to all others. Everyone is due a tribute. And see, it was the ones that were claiming to be trustees of Noble Drew Ali's trust that were actually supposed to be doing this stuff, you know, because there were some who were saying, yeah, because if you look at this piece of paper, I was appointed by the temple to be the trustee for his trust. Nobody received anything from them but a hard time. And we're not mad at anybody, but the work has to be done, and the people will receive their tribute because they're the heirs. So those numbers are our numbers. 38 trillion is half of the 60 almost 66 trillion that is the national credit. 38 trillion is half of that. The other half is for systems. But then we have 634 trillion left after that, because that's what we put on the record as resources. So yeah, those are good numbers for everybody who had faith in that previous system. They have to be brought over to the new system, whether they like it or not. Because that old system that doesn't have anything for them. The old system serves no one. So we have to bring everyone over. And the way the ancestors said that that's done is by addresses and consent or assent.
The question though is, if this is the case, and they should be sending out a check to everybody for $1.1 million, would that create astronomical inflation?
It will not, because they won't have the ability to spend a whole lot until more is produced. So production has to take place. And the smart ones who receive that 1.1 million will take at least half of it and start a business and start producing some things that people can buy from them.
Right. I agree.
So it's a circulation situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has to be done that way.
Yeah, and I do like what he just said, because as well as to putting it in gold and silver, because it will become useless trash pieces of worthless paper. And it is also recommended that right now, if you have tangible asset, do not sell it. Buy assets with that money if you get it or when you get it, but not sell anything now, because you may end up just with worthless. You're swapping a tangible asset for worthless pieces of trashy paper, IOU notes. So a word to the wise is sufficient.
Yeah, we don't do that. We just make it so that as many who receive are encouraged to go out onto the land and start and pull from the land, whatever you can pull from the land to create, and then get it out to people. Whether you can grow it, whether you can create it, whatever it is, And that has already started en masse, particularly this Congress knows, because this Congress is creating a bunch of things and pulling from the land and doing things. So it'll just be a matter of increasing industry. And you know, I was concerned about being overloaded or overwhelmed with work, but the ancestors, the way they have it is all we had to do was introduce the energy, and now others are doing it. Others are producing salt minerals already and starting to look for places to tribute them. See, it's the same way that they did with government cheese, quote unquote, and milk and everything back in the day, back in the 30s. Once they created that fiat piece, then they said, okay, we have to have a way to get the resources out to the people. So they just started having people, everybody who had a doorstep had milk and cheese on their doorstep. Whether they asked for it or not, everybody had milk and cheese on their door. And then you just make a record of that, and that means that the resources are being tributed. And so with us, we've already started that also. Everyone who has a mailing address, so that means we could get a 10-inch thick phone book and go through the phone book and restate all the addresses in a particular area, and we have resources to tribute for 1,000 years, basically. So there's no shortage of sources for the resource. There's no shortage of resources. There's no shortage of hands to help move the resources. No shortage of that. Because even the subjects are going to be helping with that. They have to have a purpose for being here. They came here for commerce. So we're going to be hiring them too, so that they can help move the resources out to the people. But every resource has a Moor at the head who's watching and who's governing the systems, just like we're doing right now. That's going to expand greatly in the next 6 months to a year. 6 months, most likely. The way things are moving, 6 months. There are some things that are going to manifest over this next 6 months, just the same way that this beautiful system is continuing to manifest as well, where we will see that we have more room to expand than ever. The ancestors have already got us speaking, each one of us speaking to parts of our estate to say, open up, we're coming, because we have the system in place, and now we have to have the space and the room to continue to manifest and tribute to the people, because that's really what it's about, is getting the wealth to the people. 1.1 million is not a lot to us, but to others out there, that's all they ever wanted.
I need to ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
What do you think about, for people who may not have changed their status just yet, still in the Valley of Decision, the benefits that you receive from the corporations, which kind of put you into adhesion contracts? I came across a suggestion that you need to accept it not as benefit, waive the benefit, and accept it as gifts.
Of course. You can, as long as you change the name of it, and that's the point we've been trying to make here, is it has to be restated. And that's all we're doing, is restating it, and then once it's brought into the inventory according to this system, it's a different thing with different owners. It's a new thing. It's not even, it's a new thing.
Right. I just produced my, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna ask you in response to your question, when, since you were born, when did you ever sign something saying I'm a U.S. citizen? You didn't. So it'll work the same way in terms of flipping everyone back over to the right status. Is that it's automatic when you accept the things, or whatever it is, because all the resources belong to us anyway. And as we continue, and this is the key, Moors, as we continue to tribute out there, the status won't even matter, because if they accept what we give, then their status is already what it is. It's agreement to the status for accepting it. Is that deception? No, it is not. Ignorance of the law was no excuse with us either. That's why it's important for us to start just making sure we get things out there and govern the system of records, because the system is going to tell where everything is coming from. That's automatically whoever receives it, their status is already going to be what it should be. If they don't come from here, their status is subject. If they're not of ancient original bloodline, they're subjects. Okay, but they still get the stuff. They still get milk and cheese and all of that stuff too, or whatever we send out. They can have salt and stuff, whatever. They can have that stuff.
Milk and honey. Milk and honey.
They can have it. We got plenty of it.
That's what you're going to have in heaven, right? Milk and honey.
And we're to make this place heaven. See, they had everybody thinking heaven was someplace out there. This is it. This is here. That's right here. So all we have to do is keep doing what we're doing. And as we continue to show responsibility and competence, the access is automatic with the proper record keeping and the proper status and the proper spirit and the proper peace. See, we're waging peace on the earth, waging peace by doing this.
Islam. So that is that is reflecting the same question I'm asking ongoingly. So what is the government, and what is the public works that we do, and what is the personal works that we do, as it weaves together, because it's really not separate. But as I think about it, the offices that I've claimed, I can now command them to allocate resources to the people. And that is what it is to do. That's how the system is to turn over. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what commanding the system is about, is so that it turns in that way, in our favor, in favor of the land and the people and the Moors. So, and I think about what those commands look like right now. Sometime at this point, I've begun with proclamations, proclamations and commands, just to give like a general statement of like what it is, right? This is what it is now, right? And just to name it, right? Because naming it gives it power, that now all other resources that are allocated through this office is now in alignment with the programs that have been stated, and I've made a proclamation about what the program is, right? So that's how I've begun. But I will to hear what other ways that Moors are commanding our offices to do the public works that we envision on the land. That we're commanding we're commanding our resources to do, what actions we will it to do.
Islam. Well, as I see it, as I stated earlier, this is the last part to make this come to fruition, is the streamlining of the records. That's what I keep seeing, because we've already established the law, and that's what I was alluding to earlier when I was going on and on and on about the civil commitment and everything else, because of what I experienced and what we talked about with Nate and I, and so on and so forth, that y'all having the two conversations. But to the point, it's what we just come to with what you're beautiful, and I wanted to give your honors to, if I may, at this point. That demonstration was immaculate. It was pristine, it was clean, it was streamlined, it was exact, it was everything that was necessary to bring us to the next degree in demonstrating our government, which is our mental, and in making it manifest in tangibility form, as I like to state. And then, so as you ask about how, is this going to do, because we've written the law. And so, as I just said that, so I guess there should be a line item maybe, if it may be, to write, to give it, because the appropriations, we did appropriations law. So if you can put a line item, if it, I don't know if it's necessary or not, to put the law that that correlates with what the action is, so the appropriation, and then transportation law. We did a law about that. We did a Section 8 law, and then put, that there. You know what I mean? If I'm making myself clear. Because also I want to ask about vouchers, because we had made a statement about vouchers. Also, because we did the Red Lobster coupon as well, and so and that was a law. So it's coming more clear that maybe we could put a line item for laws correlating, but with because with the post office, we had did a law for that as well. You know what I'm saying? So that part. So yes.
Matriarch Light, will you share the screen again and maybe go back to the remittance once more? Because I was thinking about that. I did one voucher as a demonstration, and perhaps, okay, so let's have a look here. So for example, this one has I put it as a cause for action link, but maybe it just needs a new title. And I put a public work order law here in support of the Travel and Transportation Ministry demonstration. Now, with that demonstration, it wasn't just the actual cancellation. I had stated the law, and that was part of the affidavits that are here, right? But in the example I have down here, where I had done I did a voucher. I didn't place the law beside it. I just put the cause for action. It makes me think that perhaps I do need to write a law, even if it's just a proclamation, right? In alignment with this bond, in effect, that I've created, right? This bond that is being allocated here. So I have some thoughts about that. Like, is there a way that...
Well, like a universal proclamation, that covers the whole spreadsheet or the whole record for that whole, spreadsheet.
Yes.
Empress Light, are you?
Yes, if I may interject. So, Empress Anagel, your question is, how do we get these officers to get up off their butts and work, right?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So, you have shown today how to do that. The only thing we didn't see was the form that they get paid in. So whether that's a check, cash, whatever the remittance format is. But what you did was you mapped from origin all the way to almost final destination of the money to include the source. So this is the answer to your question, is the way that you get them to get up and do something is you show on the public record, and you would notify them, listen, you have the records here, where if you actually mailed these records out electronically or otherwise, or parts of the records out, links to parts of the records out, those officers would get up and move if they had a check from you or some dollarium from you or some gold or some silver from you with a work order.
Yes.
Because see, you've already shown the source. The source is that form you showed earlier. It looks like a direct deposit form. That form says that the funds are actually coming from the source, which is you. That's why those ask for name, address, phone number, and all of that, because that's the source of the funds.
Yes.
Not the name, but you know, the appellation, the holy name, the holy appellation, the names that you govern. That's the source of where it's coming from. And then the author of those is the authority where the money is coming from. Then it goes up to the Treasury, because that's what direct deposit is it puts it into a system, a banking system. And whatever if you use a bank account number or a state security number or whatever you use, that's going to dictate the level at which the Treasury sends the money. Okay, and so the answer to the question also, again, in further expansion of it, is that if you're willing for an office, a county office to do something, then you have to speak county language. If it's city, then speak city language. If it's company, then speak company language. Company language is the form that you used to remit. It's a remittance form. Okay. That's company language.
Okay.
Okay. So you speak at the level that you're issuing the funds out. Speak at that level, whatever that level is. But it has to start with you, which it already has. You have proof that it started with you because you have a court action. You have a lien. You're the creditor. And then the levy says you already have possession. The bond says it's bonded to the land. Now you have a cancellation or something to cancel. You've received something in the mail. There's something to cancel and turn into funds that you can use. So then you speak at the level of that, whatever you receive from them, from the system, the previous debt system, and it's not even a previous debt system, it just serves us.
Yes.
Whatever you receive from them in black ink and capital letters, you then sink that ship, put your own ship and sail on the water, and then speak back to it and say, this is what's to be done with these resources. Okay. We've done that with like camera, quote unquote, camera tickets and things of that nature. We've done that with that. And what we do is we just have it put into our accounts because that's where it belongs.
So Islam, here's my, I've taken everything that you just said there. Here's my question. Is it simply a receipt and some more sovereign alarm or check or a voucher? Is it just the receipt of, because all the spreadsheets are stating where the money, where the gold resources originated and the flow.
Yes, it's a map.
Right? So am I basically just depositing that into my accounts? Is that basically what's or is I'm not quite clear. Is something missing, or am I just making it more complicated? It's really simple, right?
It is simple, but the level that you're thinking at is the right level. It's not, you're not overcomplicating things, but the final piece is a simpler piece in what you decide to do with your money, with your resources, with what you've recovered, because you just recovered some wealth. You can deposit it in your record bank account, your recorded bank account there, and just have it sit there until you will to use it, and you can use it for whatever you want to use it for. But you have to show where it came from, even in your bank account, and where it's going. If you have money in your account, which you already do because of the work that you've done, do you know how much you have in your account? Based on the work. Okay. So let's say if you have 10 million in your account, and I'll just use that as I know it's a low ball number, but we'll just start there. If you have 10 million in your account and you will to buy a a $200,000 automobile, all you have to do is map where that $200,000 came from. Give that map complete with account numbers and everything, these numbers that you have here on the screen, that, and then a check that you create, just like what Empress Cynthia stated before the recording started about about her experience.
Yes.
You just create a check and the receipt saying that this check paid for this thing. You can, and the check could be a canceled check. You create the check and then cancel it.
Yes.
Why? Because it went through the banking process already. That means that it's prepaid and you have a receipt. That's where receipts come from, is things that are already paid for. And what you're doing is showing how was it paid for, who got that money, and what did they buy? Well, what did they buy? You have a certificate of recordation for the automobile. It seemed like a lot of paperwork, but once we get used to it, it'll be a piece of cake for us.
Yes, yes.
And then we will know how much our estate is worth at all times. We'll know how much we have in the bank at all times. So now where you're concerned, it's a matter of showing that you have this amount in the bank, this is where that amount came from, and we're issuing from that account this much. And what are you issuing it for? This automobile that's already paid for, here's the vehicle identification number for that automobile, and this is the contract by which the automobile was obtained. And you have registration, and we've done a Congress on the automobile process, the recording altogether. Manufacturer's certificate for origin. Now remember, we're having to do all of this now. We won't have to keep doing all of this because we're putting the system together so that it becomes a simpler process. Okay? But the great minds must come together and do this part. But that's what gives us the right to govern the system. It's okay for us to go through each step specifically, and then it's best to use our own experience to make sure that the system is doing what it's supposed to do. So we're supposed to be the ones buying the automobiles and things so that we can see, has the system done what it's supposed to do? So do you see the amount of records that are still due, Empress, for whatever it is that you're willing to have done?
Well, in truth, I thought it was simpler. In truth, I thought it was simpler. So I thought that this record was my bank record. I thought this was
already done. Everything is what I'm saying. You've already done everything. You just have to show whoever it is, whatever part of the system that you're getting it from, if it's an auto dealership or if it's a public work order, you just notify that office that this is all that has been done. The money's already been appropriated, allocated, remitted, and now being tributed.
Right.
Just from start to finish, just map it and send the order. And now, when you send the order, the ones who first open the envelope they're not going to overstand the mapping piece. They're not going to overstand it. They're going to overstand or understand the one memo on the top that has the nationalized office logo that they're at.
Yes.
That says, here is the work order, do this. And it has to be the least amount of words as possible, because those frontline ones.
I know. It's very, yes, I get it, yes.
But when accounting, which is another area, subjects in the Office of Accounting look at it, they're going to know too then that everything's been done. And then when the one that was the subject in the office of CEO or head magistrate or whatever, when he looks at, he or she is going to see that their part has been done also. In other words, you're firing all of them because you already did everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll get done.
Yes. Yes.
It's simple. You've got everything already. Just the title to the land where the work is going to be done or whatever it is, you got that already. Now just issue remittance or tribute. You got to pay whoever it is. And again, it won't always be this difficult, not difficult, expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody had to start the system somewhere, and that's the part that kept everybody enslaved for so long, is nobody was preparing to do what we've done thus far. They didn't want to do the 40 documents. They didn't want to do this part right here. We're done. In other words, we've done everything. All we have to do now is tribute and see that it's done. So it is simple. What you have to do is simple. Again, we use title and then certificate of recordation for everything. Okay, it seems like a lot, but once we put the front end of the system together, it's going to be very simple to get things done. This is the back end. The front end is just a series of dashboards that say, you know, here's a square. For this square, you put in this, the address, and all of that. Yeah. Does that assist with what has to be done next?
To paraphrase, I would say I would need to notify them of the remittance of the resources that have been tributed. You know.
In other words, a copy of what you've done.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
And then with that comes a check or whatever form of remittance, and you can even cancel the check. That's something that the ancestors have been stating, because we're the bank. We're supposed to cancel checks that have come through our institution.
Yes. Yes.
And have been honored.
Yes.
Yeah. Because, see, who would we be paying? We're paying ourselves anyway. So, yes, cancel the check and then notify that it's been canceled for that thing, for whatever that is.
Yeah.
You're done, Empress. You've done everything. And when I say you're done, I mean you have overstood completely your estate and estate governing.
Islam, I have one quick question. So wouldn't there have to be an account for receivables then, once she's taken it out of the line item for, let's say, a conveyance? Wouldn't she have to have something to receive it on the other side?
A bank account or a canceled check file.
Alrighty.
Okay.
See, we got wealth coming and going, but we just have to be willing to govern it. And then you would put the title, you know, a allodial title plus a certificate of recordation into your file for that conveyance, for that automobile. And then whenever there's a repair or you get gas, well, getting gas or electricity for your automobile is actually going to be expensed. It's going to be expensed on a government expense report.
Yes. 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 And then we'll start looking at how we look at our deductions, and that will be the new movement in
Yes.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a simple internal revenue deduction affidavit with everything listed.
Yes.
That's it. And then autograph it and send it. Now, also, at some point, we can make it so that the internal revenue, which is us still, can can look at the system, because that's what the internal revenue does. And again, the internal revenue can look at the system, but we will only look at the parts of the system that are necessary to be seen. Internal revenue does not need to see an allodial title. There's a box check that says, is allodial title on file? On file means, did the ancient original indigenous court have it in their files? And because we're putting the information in, the answer is yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. That as well.
Yeah.
I'm happy to adapt there.
Say again, Empress.
That as well. I'm happy to adapt in that area. So this here, we could just delete it and just put yes. You know what I mean? As simple as that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You can put yes and then put a link back to that same whatever document that you willed to have for your records. You can just link that yes to the document.
Indeed. I've had questions about how much to share, but right now it's organic. It's still being formed, so this is the time for it to be seen, and then it will be our records, and that's right.
Well, this is a sovereign personal Congress. So and even though it goes on the record, only certain ones will see it anyway.
Yes.
That's how we've done the whole up to now is we just show the stuff, we put it out there because Moors have to know how to do whatever they're going to be doing. They have to know how to state that they're the governor and all of this. They had to know that. They have to know their records. And what better way to show than this? Because in reality, this is the test mechanism. See, we've been tested, Empress. Now we get to test.
Yes, yes.
We get to test the processes and test the systems and test others about, what to do and how to do it. Because we're giving the commands. Yeah. We have to know who we're speaking to. These congresses are only for certain Moors anyway, it seems. Because not all Moors will to know all of this. They just want to do something simple and get it done. Well, that means somebody else is going to have to govern that part that actually makes things happen. And we're willing to do that work. Yeah.
Well, gratitude, Congress. It's so good to share. It is so good to share. It's been like, my vision about it is that I've been weaving it, it feels like a tapestry at times. And in other ways, I think of it as getting us off the ground. Like, we just had to, get this piece, just get us off the ground at this. And I'm like, yeah, because when I put my line items here, it should just deliver. You know what I mean? I should be like, knock, 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 here it is. So it should be that easy. So, I appreciate it, and I appreciate sharing it.
I wouldn't change that to yes either, because it's going to be simplified on the front end. I wouldn't change that to yes. I would keep the record there.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I will.
Because this is the back. This is really the whole. It's the back end and the front end. We just have to pull from individual things from the back end and put them together.
Yes.
And leave the majority of it unseen.
Yes. This is the archives that will be in place as our record. This is the Library of Congress. This is our archives. In truth. So
the hidden hand.
Yes, indeed. And then on the front end, it will just be resources being received, on the land.
Yeah. En masse.
Yes.
All the people have to do is go and just put in a few things, put in a name and an address. It doesn't even matter what the address looked like. The system will be able to stretch it out and take the, and and then tribute to them.
Yes, uncorrupted.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, and honestly, I see this system, because remember we had talked about in previous Congresses about the Moors coming home from the POW camps, and the Moors who will desire to have assistance, you know, with care for anything that they will to have, home, conveyance, medical, and so on and so forth. At this point, I see this system that we are implementing is going to be very, very, very useful for those Moors and all the people to be able to self-govern and self-officiate themselves to wholeness. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just where we are in life at this point in time. I see that abundantly clear.
Well, you know, when we were out there filling out forms in our sleep, all of this stuff was going on in the background and we didn't even know it.
Islam, Empress.
Any form that came in, they would adhese it.
I was just saying that same word to myself, adhesion, yeah.
They would stick it to something that was not the origin of it.
Yeah.
And that's why they could do whatever they could say, okay, well, let's take this group of contracts and test them and throw them in jail. This group. Everybody whose license is suspended, if they come up with a ticket, we throw them in jail automatically. They could make laws according to groups of information like that, because not laws. They could pretend to enact laws about their records because it was that's their stuff. That was their stuff previously. Because the system originated with their Islam.
Islam, Empress?
Islam.
Okay, you can hear me now. I've been trying to get through for the past hour. However, I have a question. Before I do, I will to say gratitude to Empress Anagel for this divine information that she has shared with the Congress. And peace and great grand rising to this Holy Congress. And the question, Empress, is do you have the name of and the name and the model number for the device you have showed?
It's just a computer tower. That's what they call them, computer towers.
Oh, so it's not a particular brand and a model to it?
This one is it's called Infotech.
Infotech. It has a model number?
Let's see. This is a 52X Max. Let me just verify that. Yeah, it's a Infotech 52X Max.
Okay. Gratitude for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
But just make sure whatever it is out there that it is not wireless. It cannot have wireless access.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And there are some that even lay down flat. Instead of standing up like a tower, they lay down flat underneath the monitor. As long as it's not wireless,
I think I've seen those before, but I've never seen the stand-up one. That's why I asked you about it.
Yeah.
But I've seen the flat ones, mainly in offices.
Yeah. As long as it's not wireless, it's safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gratitude. Thank you, Empress.
Islam.
So.
Can you hear me, Empress?
Yes, we can hear you, Empress. If you could speak up just a little bit louder, it sounds a little bit muffled. Sound like you're really far away.
Oh, okay. Maybe because I have an additional speaker. Is that what you call the CPU, a central processing unit that you just?
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay, thank you.
And just make sure that it is not wireless. Islam.
Sure thing.
Islam. Her question was, for those who may not have been able to hear her, isn't this unit, this tower, this computer tower, called a central processing unit? The answer is yes. It is called a central processing unit. That's why they were called central banks, quote unquote. Yeah. Are there any other questions, comments, wisdom? You know, Empress Anagel and Congress, this is the system. It's really complete from start to finish. It just needs a few of whatever is being inspired to Empress Anagel as far as improvements, or any of us as we're putting our records together in this particular management style. That, you know, if the better questions come up as we're doing that. And when I say better questions, I mean questions that will reap a harvest in the response to them. Will come up as we're actually doing the work. Empress Anagel, it is just so clear to me that as you've been demonstrating your status is where a lot of the inspiration for this came from, is just through actually demonstrating and seeing what is necessary, seeing what we need. I know for us that's been the case as well, and I know for this Congress it's the same. It is the same. If there be no further questions, let me just check the chat really quickly. Justice Harold states in the chat that the tech-savvy heirs can remove the Wi-Fi card, and it'll work fine if it doesn't have a Wi-Fi card in it. I'm not that tech-savvy at this point, so I'm gonna just stick with the one that was built not to be wireless. Yeah.
Islam.
That's brilliant, though, Justice Harold. It could, because if that's the case, we could do that with what we have right now. You know.
Islam. A friend of mine always built my computers, so I got a little bit of insight that way.
Yeah.
Islam.
Beautiful. Well, if there be nothing further, Islam Empress Rose Tao.
I simply want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Your brilliant teaching, Anagel's particular kinds of skills, and this result that will benefit us all. Anagel, I want to say thank you for all of the effort, time, energy, and struggle to figure this out to begin with. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I want to thank the entire Congress, because everyone on this call and everyone who has been at Congress with us has helped us every bit of the way. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I yield.
Islam. Thank you, Grand Matriarch Rose Tao. Thank you.
Gratitude. Gratitude.
Islam, Empress Light, can I give you an update of the last time I told you I had an issue?
Yes, Empress Gloria.
I solved it. I had to go back and study. I told you I needed to study, and that's what I did. And I was able to remove those cases from the internet. Yes,
Please.
I did. Yes, I did the final judgment and decree, and they removed it.
Empress Gloria, that is awesome news. Wow.
Yeah, it took me a while, several months, to get it in my head, the definitions that I needed to do. Because keep in mind, I'm in my early 70s. Take me a little while. But I did that. I did some liens behind it.
Yes.
And they removed it.
Beautiful. Now, Empress Gloria, what the process that you use can be used to remove all kinds of foolishness. Because once it's done in one area with the processes, it can be done in all other areas, including fake housing records and fake tax records and fake jail records and all of that stuff. All that stuff can be gotten out of the way because they don't own the public record. That system from the previous era is done because it was nominated in fiat, and fiat is not real. So we can remove. That is, Empress Gloria, we're just grateful and wow.
And I'm helping someone else now do the same thing.
Empress Gloria, can you give us just a brief description of you don't have to be as, you don't have to go too personal, but just what type of records they were?
Well, first of all, Empress, I made sure it wasn't private.
Yeah.
I put it on ScribD as well to make sure, because, it's just out there, because they put it out there. So I can't hide. And, but the thing is, it was from where I told you, from that county. Where is it? Gosh, I can't think of the county. But it was outside of Dallas, near Killeen. That's where they picked me up. I'm gonna tell you, I did.
So it was supposed arrest record.
Correct, and they still had that warrant out, the old warrant. It was still up there. But I made this mistake, and I was too embarrassed to tell you at the time. But I showed the driver's license, and I added, and I should have done that. But I was tired of that thing.
It's okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Empress. I yield. Go ahead.
If you have let me tell you, if you have a driver's license, like I wasn't using it, but that day it's like I'm going out of town, something might happen, who knows, I might need it. And don't you know that's what happened?
Yeah.
So, but it's still double jeopardy because I had gone with my flag all by myself, and the lady walked out, the judge.
Fake judge. Subject in the office of judge.
Yeah. And the person in the office, subject in the office of judge, walked out on a Zoom. And that came solved in a minute because she walked away. And I was the only one in there, and the person in the office of bailiff. And she was on Zoom, so it's just two people, myself and the bailiff. And she walked away. Now somebody's working in my favor in the background, because when I checked again when I was doing the research, it was saying, this subject in the office of judge had left about 100 of these cases and just walked out. So, humiliation right there.
Yeah.
I didn't know this until I started doing the research. I said, okay, it's working. Our stuff is working.
Yeah.
And this person that I'm helping right now, and I sent the stuff through the email. Through our post office. And but I want to make sure. So I had this person. I said, because this person is new to this, so I hand delivered. Even though some of this notification with the green card had come back, I said, but here's your remade birth certificate in red ink.
Wow.
I said, well, I gave him a copy, and just before the case was going to come, like in that fake courthouse, I was late getting to the courthouse the day before, but they let me in anyway. I say, I'm the courier. I say, this case is not for me. I had it in envelopes, and I said confidential, and to the subject and judge, I had it, blocked out, kill brackets. They let me in. I put it in both, it's felony and a misdemeanor, and they let me in both offices. And I said, I don't need to have it out, because I had the green cards already, notifications to who I needed to notify. And the next day they got there, and the lady had a so-called appointed attorney. She said, oh, well, we're going to have to change the subjects in the office of judge and the prosecutor, because, you know, in other words, they don't want to have any part with the moorishe.
Of course not.
So nobody was there. How about that? That's
Yeah.
pretty good, I thought.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I yield. Thank you.
Yeah, Islam. Empress Gloria, thank you so much for that report, for that testament. Islam. We're, you know, the more we stand, the more testaments we're hearing and seeing, and everyone can see that what's happening is working. So we're just grateful. We're just grateful, extremely grateful. Let's keep going.
Islam.
Justice Ogunwale.
I just want to update you. You said something earlier about the red is private and the blue is public, and that triggered something in my mind because the vermin that I sent in, I got it from Skrill, and it was in rating. And you know, when you're involved in your own stuff, sometimes you miss things. Yeah. And now I got to go back. I got to put it in blue and read.
Yes.
And I completed the bond, so I'm gonna do the bond as well. That's done. So gratitude for that.
Yeah. Islam, the things that you put in blue, like if you're going to send it out to a subject in the office of, keep it as simple as possible.
Okay.
Our blue things, we know what our blue means, so we can make it. We can speak our language and do what we do. But if you're going to be notifying subjects in the office of, make it as simple as possible, because it just needs to be simple so that they don't like pass out or something at the level.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that's better for me too.
Yeah. Islam.
Yeah.
And usually the subjects in the office of are working on the front end of a system. That's why things have to be kept simple for them too, is so that they can do simple things about how the information is supposed to be used. Okay. You know, we have to keep it simple for them. Thank you, Justice Ogunwale.
Okay. Gratitude.
Islam. Chief Justice Imani.
Yes, I have one final question. However, I do want to give gratitude to the ancestors and to Empress Anagel. Everything was just beautiful. I'm just so happy and elated. So yes, you're not the only one, Empress Light. I'm cheering over here. But I have, I know. So I have one question. We had some discussion about the that's not the brain, the legacy account. So we got to the very end. We looked at the video once again, and of course there are different schools or different understandings going on about who signs at the very end of that. If you can give us some clarity on who signs at the very end of that particular document that's on the legacy account. When you open the new legacy account, and it says authorizing official autograph.
Well, who is the author of that statement?
So I'm asking the question for all of us, because there are different ones that have a different view on it. So that's why I was like, okay, well, why don't I just ask her, ask Empress Light, so we all will know.
Okay. So there are two answers to that question, Chief Justice Imani. For your own legacy account, you will autograph it. For those who come after us, who will be working only on the front end, we will be signing theirs. Because there are some who are coming, we're designing this system for everyone. We will be the authorized ones to sign their documentation that they send in to open a legacy account. Okay, so to answer your question, you're the authorized signer.
Now, that is my understanding that I would be signing. However, I'm asking for everyone who was in the round table where we were, because there were different ones giving a different view because we didn't hear it in the video. So I thought, well, let me just ask here so that everyone will have clarity coming from you, Islam.
So there are many who are coming, millions even, who are coming, who will not be privy to the back end of the system. And by the time they even see these videos in those types of numbers, the back end will be different from what is even here. It'll be more in depth. So some of the Moors in the round table and out on the land are seeing things from a user of the system perspective. That's somebody who's going to sign on and say, I need an account. And I heard that we have accounts through the government. Let me go online and see. And all they're going to see, they're not going to see all these spreadsheets. They're not going to see the database. They're not going to see any of that. They're going to see a format, not a form, but a format. And we call it a dashboard. It's a dashboard where they just put in a few pieces of information, and the system is going to put everything else in on the back end. Okay, so some Moors are thinking from that perspective. Other Moors are thinking from the perspective that we all are working from right now. That means different places on the timeline. And it's okay for everyone to be at different places. The same way this Congress saw that this process will bring us all to the same place on the timeline, is the same way that this system that we're setting up is going to make it so that everyone out there knows we're at the same place on the timeline. It's going to coalesce and synchronize everything together for them in their minds that, yes, we actually are the nation, we're the banks, we're the courts, and all of that. So, Empress Anagel, we thank you. Oh, go ahead, Empress. I apologize.
No, I was just stating, yes, just absolutely beautiful. This is just so exciting. Yeah. Absolutely exciting for where we are.
Yep, because we all had so much information in our minds and so many things that we've done. This brings it all together systemically. And we have the absolute honor of presenting our systems together, because that's really what this did. This brought our court system and our banking system and our title system and our recordation system and our money system. It just brought everything together in one place. And that is so powerful, because I've even had more say, Light, you seem like you're all over the place. There's a method to the madness, not madness. There's a method to the erudition. Empress Anagel helped to bring that together so that everyone could see that everything does work together. All things work together for our good. We just have to make it that way. And with this, it's done that way. Any other questions, comments, wisdom from this amazing, all-powerful Congress? Empress Cynthia.
I feel like I need a big, shiny red bow to put on this package. It feels like a gift. It is a gift. Empress Anagel, thank you so much. Gratitude. I'm so grateful. Wow. Islam.
Yes, gratitude. You are welcome. Yes, it's for us all. I'm so glad. Yes, you're welcome, Islam.
Anyone else? I will that this Congress take this time to thank Empress Anagel for her presentment today. I just will that we all do that right now and just thank her.
Gratitude.
High honors.
Yes, high honors to you. Your ear as well. Empress Anagel.
You're my SOS.
Gratitude to you and your noble.
Prophecy.
Big up yourself.
Empress Anagel, gratitude, kin and man.
Big up yourself. Big up yourself.
Peace and love. Gratitude, divinity.
Yes.
We salute you, Empress. High honor. Peace and love.
Gratitude, Empress. Peace and love.
Yes.
Peace and love. Thank you.
All the fruits are beginning to ripe.
Islam.
Islam. It's one more thing I'd like to share.
Gratitude, Anagel.
Expressions.
Justice Ogunwale. It's on.
Yeah. It's not always easy to express, let's say, the transformation that you're going through, okay? Because it's so profound, okay? And I would like to express to everybody, based on what I'm going through, what I've been through, that it's important to be yourself, your higher self. That's the goal. You got to strive. You can't be the strong man. You can't think like the strong man. We got to break that and be our true selves. And everything open up to you. Everything in due time as you grow, as you progress, as you transform. Peace.
Islam. Thank you, Justice Ogunwale. As we conclude this particular portion of our Congress, if there be no other comments, I see some of the microphones opening. Justice Consul, Empress Angel, did you all have anything further?
Islam. This is Tona Salajabe, and I want to basically remind all of you that you have a responsibility now to learn this and blaze the trail for the others that are going to come. Your duty is now for the future. I'm proud of each and every one of you, and it's been an honor to be a part of this. Go forward, my brothers and sisters. Islam.
Islam, indeed.
Islam.
Islam.
I can say this is divine encouragement. To just shut out all of the naysayers. When you operate at your highest self and they say, it don't take all of that. Are they mad at you because you operate in your higher self and that's what you strive to do? This is encouragement for all of those who have decided to take the high road. So I'm saying gratitudes, and I love y'all. Gratitudes, gratitudes, gratitudes.
Islam, indeed. On our way, as we conclude, I will to play just a small clip of what we were playing at the video that we were playing at the beginning of Congress that we're putting together. Just really quickly, it's about 2 or 3 minutes that we'll play of it. And what it is just a bit of information about John D. Rockefeller and what he did. And again, we're not glorifying anybody. All we're doing is we're pointing to the records and the system that he was able to mimic in order to pretend to be super wealthy. And guess what? No one argued with his records because no one else was keeping records. So here, just a quick.
One set of trackers. So one thing about Rockefeller is that he tracked everything down to the finest detail. He tracked his personal expenses, his business expenses, the price of oil around the world, his competitors' pricing, and he would keep all of this information in these really long ledgers that they had back in the day. Ron Chernow writes in his biography on Rockefeller that he relished neat, orderly books and delighted in listing every expenditure down to the last penny. And this is actually a habit that Rockefeller had since he was very, very young. When he was 16, he started his first ever ledger. He called it his Ledger A. And in it was every single transaction that he participated in, down to even pocket change. What he would then do is go back to his ledger and look through all of the tiny details and try to find out where he could save more money and where he spent too much money. But the point is that he created a system to track all of his expenses, and he was completely obsessed with this. And it's for a very important reason. Rockefeller knew that it's very difficult to improve upon what you don't measure. You can think of a general leading an army into battle, and it's actually kind of funny because Napoleon was also relentless when it came to tracking supplies and ammunition and pretty much anything. But I mean, imagine a general going into battle, not knowing how many troops they have, how much supplies each troop has, how much ammunition you have left. It's probably going to be a complete disaster. Napoleon was the complete opposite of this. He had trackers for every little tiny thing in his army, and it's one of the reasons for why he was able to win so much. Rockefeller operated in the exact same way. He set up systems and trackers for everything. But it's not just about setting up these systems and trackers, but it's also about using them. Rockefeller was obsessed, and he shows this a lot, especially with Standard Oil. You see, at Standard Oil, they wouldn't just track everything that has to do with oil, but they would also track everything that has to do with the barrels that they held the oil in.
We'll stop it there for those, if you will, to watch the rest of it. But the point of the matter is that records is what got him in his enactment where everyone else was wanting to be from that previous era. Okay? So, without any further statements, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Islam.
Peace and grand rising.
Peace. Islam. Peace and grand rising.
Islam, peace and grand rising.
Peace and grand rising. Peace and grand rising.
Oh, I do have one quick question. So, when is the expected rollout of this amazing, what we were speaking of?
It's already rolling out. All you got to do is get your records together, and once your records are together, then we'll all come together and put our records into one system, upload them to one system.
All right, that's the answer to my question I didn't ask. All right, Islam.
Islam.
Islam.